most important number in a membership follow-up strategy is not the open rate, it's not the click rate, it is the response rate. Because the leads who respond are the leads who eventually become members. And most follow-up sequences are built in a way that make responding feel completely unnecessary. Give me the next few minutes and I'll walk you through my Cold to Raven framework, the 3-stage email and text follow-up sequence that house flipping investors can use to build genuine trust with a cold lead automatically before a single membership conversation ever takes place. Want the email and text follow-up template with the messaging structures already mapped out for every stage? Drop follow-up in the comments and I'll send it over. My name is Sandra. I'm the owner of the Real Estate Growth Program. It's a step-by-step program that helps house flipping investors build memberships. It's a membership income around the knowledge and expertise that they already have. So here's what we've covered so far. In video 1, I explained the program and what it does. In video 2, I explained the reoccurring revenue math. That illustrated what a membership income could look like alongside a flipping business. In membership 3, I explained the content clarity framework. That eliminates the blank page problem, so you never run out of content, and it's all based on the knowledge that investors already have. In video 4, I explained the funnel first framework that builds a simple automated system to move strangers toward becoming paying members. In video 5, I explained the lead leak audit. That identifies exactly where the leads are falling out of your funnel and exactly how to fix those problems. So today, this video is about the opt-in, because getting a lead into a funnel is only half of the equation. What happens next, where the membership builds or loses the sale? As always, you'll get one thing to implement immediately in this video. So here's a specific situation that plays out constantly inside a membership business at every stage of growth. An investor runs an ad, someone clicks, they land on the opt-in page, they like it, and they enter their email to get the free download resource. And then nothing meaningful happens next. They maybe get one welcome email and that's it. Maybe a generic newsletter and it's sent out in the next maybe 2 weeks later. Maybe a promotional email dropped in several weeks later after that, because the investor needs a revenue bump in the membership. The lead who was genuinely interested at that specific time has now gone cold because the conversation did not continue. The interest was real, the timing was right, and the follow-up system failed to show up while they were interested. That is not a lead quality problem, that's a sequence problem. And it's one that is the most common and is easily to correct in this membership business. The most common response to poor follow-up conversations is to send more emails, send more newsletters, more check-ins, more promotional blast. The thinking being that every message that goes out, some percentage of the leads will eventually decide to join. And sometimes that approach works, but you get like a trickle of conversations in. More often than not, you get people to unsubscribe to your email list. The problem is that the emails are not written for a specific person at a specific stage in their journey. They are written for the entire list, as though every person has the same level of awareness, the same objections, and the same readiness to buy. A list of 10,000 people who receive a generic email is less valuable than a list of 100 people who receive a message that's designed specifically for them. Volume without relevance does not convert. Relevance, even on a smaller scale, does. Generic follow-up fails for one fundamental reason. It doesn't meet the lead where they are on their journey, their specific decision-making process. The moment a person opts in, the lead is curious but not committed. They have a problem that they want solved. They found a resource that suggested a solution, but they've not yet decided whether the person offering the resource is credible enough to trust for their time, attention, and money. A generic email sequence does nothing to move the decision forward. It does not build credibility. It doesn't address the specific objections that are sitting between the lead and the membership decision. It doesn't create the feeling of being understood, which is the single most powerful driver of a conversation in this market. The investor will not pay to learn from a person with the most polished emails. It is the one whose email sounds like it came from someone who has been exactly where the investor is right now. That feeling does not happen by accident. It is engineered deliberately, systematically, through a sequence that is built around the specific psychology of the person receiving it. That is what Cold to Raven framework builds. So here's a 3-step solution in the Cold to Raven framework. Stage 1, that's the trust building sequence. The moment someone opts in, within minutes, if possible, the first message should go out. And the first message does not have anything to pitch. It delivers the promise on the resource from the ad. No teaser, no part 1 of 3, the full value of what was promised, delivered instantly. That immediate delivery builds trust in the first 60 seconds. It signals something critical to the new lead. This person does what they say they're going to do. The second and third messages sent over the next 2 days continue with the same spirit. They provide genuinely useful content related to the topic the lead opted in for. Real insights, specific actionables. The kind of content that makes the lead think, this person knows exactly what I'm talking about. And they know exactly what they're talking about. So you're picking up the conversation they're having in their mind. Somewhere in the first stage, naturally without forcing it, the story of who is behind the membership gets told. Not a polished biography, not a highlight reel, the real version. The moment where things were not working, the decision that changed the direction, the outcome that followed. The story, told honestly and specifically, is the single most powerful trust-building tool available to the membership builder, because the lead does not trust polish, they trust real. The goal of stage 1 is not to sell anything. The goal is to make the lead feel glad that they opted in. Give them quick wins. Let them see what you have to offer, and don't pitch anything. Stage 2, the objection resolve sequence. This is days 4 through 7. By day 4, the lead has received real value. They have a sense of who's behind the membership, and they're starting to wonder, curiously, whether joining makes sense in their situation. That wondering is where the objections live. And objections that are not addressed directly become invisible wall between the warm lead and a paying member. So stage 2 names those objections out loud, 1 per message, and addresses each one honestly and specifically. The time objection. And here's how you address it. I know the biggest objection at this point probably is whether you have time to add to your schedule of an already full schedule, whether you have time to fit in this membership. Then the message explains specifically how the membership is structured and the work around full-time investor schedule, not the addition to it. Another objection is the trust objection, and here's how to address it. There's a good chance this is not the first program or course that has landed in the inbox. There's a good chance at least one of them did not deliver what they promised. Then the message addresses that objection directly. Explain what's different about this membership, how it's structured, what the first 30 days looks like from inside the membership. Another objection is the logic objection. This questions whether building a membership makes more sense than chasing another flip. And that deserves a real answer, not a sales pitch. Then the message walks through the math illustration from video 2, honestly, without overpromising, and lets the numbers speak for themselves. Each message in stage 3 does one job. It removes one specific barrier between the lead and the decision. When all 4 primary objections have been addressed, the objections of time, trust, effort, and logic. What remains is a lead who is genuinely considering joining the membership. That is the transition point, which moves right into stage 3. Stage 3 is where I present the social proof and the invitation sequence. This is done in days 8 through 14. Stage 3 opens up the proof, not influencer testimonials, not curated highlight reels, but real wins from real people who entered this program from a position that's similar to where the lead is right now. A flipper who mapped out their membership structure in a single afternoon using the template and had their concept fully defined before the end of the week. An investor who had never run ad before followed the funnel framework and saw the first opt-ins within the first 10 days of running a simple campaign. Or a part-time investor who went through the content clarity framework and walked out with 8 weeks of planned content just from the knowledge they already have. These are not income claims. They are process wins, specific, believable, and directly related to where the lead is on their own journey. They answer the most important question a warm lead is asking themselves: will this work for me? The final message in stage 3 extends the invitation to join. It's not a hard sell, not a countdown timer on the manufactured urgency play. As a natural next step for someone who has received genuine value over 14 days, they had their objections addressed honestly and seen proof that the program delivers on what is promised. This message sounds something like this: everything covered in the last 2 weeks, the membership framework, the content system, the funnel structure, the ad strategy, and the follow-up sequence is what the Real Estate Growth Program walks through step by step. If any of it resonated, the door is open. See, that's simple, direct, there's no pressure, and far more effective than a high-pressure close because the trust has already been built over 14 days of consistent, relevant, valuable content. The Cold to Raving framework works because it's built around the psychology of a specific person receiving it, not around the promotional calendar of the person sending it. Every stage has a specific job. Every message within the stage does one thing, and it does it well. The sequence moves a lead forward through a natural decision-making process rather than pushing them toward a sell before they're ready. They're just going to have buyer's remorse, and they're going to opt out. That's why this sequence works so much better. And because it's automated, once it's built, it runs every new lead that enters the funnel without requiring any additional manual effort. The investor is on a job site. The sequence is having 14 days of trust-building conversations simultaneously with every single lead in the system, and it's doing it automatically. That is the compounding effect of a well-built follow-up sequence. It doesn't just convert one lead, it converts consistently across every lead at every stage without burnout and without the emotional cost of manual outreach. Investors can write this sequence themselves using the Cold to Raving framework as the structure described in this video. The email and text follow-up template takes the framework and maps out every stage. The message timing, the subject line approach, the content structure for each message, and the transition points between stages, so that the writing process is filling in the framework rather than building something from scratch. Want to swipe the email, text, and follow-up template so that the full sequence structure already is mapped out? Drop follow-up in the comments. The template covers every stage of the Cold to Raving framework: the trust foundation message, the objection resolved messages, the social proof, and the invitation message, with the timing, the structures, and the content approach for each one already laid out. Instead of staring at a blank page, wondering what the fourth email sequence should say and whether it's too soon to mention the membership, every decision is already made. The work is writing the specific content into the structure that is proven to move a cold lead through a trust-building process in 14 days. Investors who go through the template typically walk away with a completed 14-day sequence ready to load into their email system and a follow-up process that runs automatically from that point forward, regardless of what else is happening in the business. If that sounds useful, drop follow-up below and I'll send it over. In the next video, the final video in this series, I'll walk through the membership retention system. Specifically, how to keep members engaged, progressing, and renewing month after month, because acquiring the member is only the beginning of the relationship. So make sure this page is followed so when that video is posted, it shows in your feed. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you got value from it. Leave me a comment, let me know what you thought. And most importantly, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you tomorrow.